Hello, welcome in to the Dynasty Daddy stream for this week, March 25th. Today it's just me. It's just me, so we can trash talk all of Will's takes. Let me know if my microphone is too quiet, and I will set up. So basically, what I'm thinking for today is I will be going through one of the roster reviews I typically do, that's submitted through the form on the website. And I will also be answering trade questions. So if you have any trade questions, definitely post below. So I don't want to waste any more time than we have to. I will say we could cover a few of the recent developments. We had Stephon Diggs signing a technically 3-year contract, but 2 years plus one with the New England Patriots, which first take to me is like that's a great deal. Great deal for both sides. It's hard as an aging wide receiver to really have any sort of guaranteed role in an offense coming off an ACL injury and to walk into an offense that literally just needs any wide receiver talent. That's amazing. And it also frees them up. You know, if they do take like a Travis Hunter, they have some flexibility with that pick at 4 in the draft. So I think that's good. And for fantasy, if Diggs comes back, you can buy him for pretty cheap. If he comes back, he should have a pretty significant impact. So I'm pretty hopeful about that landing spot and how that will all work out. And then for Russell Wilson in New York, the Giants, that spot to me is we had a little bit of a hype, right? A little bit of a wave with Jameis Winston. He had like two days or whatever to ride the Jameis Winston hype, but again, Jameis Winston's back to probably being the backup, and it's going to be, again, like kind of like a Fields-Russ situation where no one's really excited to have Russ, but then if you also don't have Russ, you know, you're kind of just dealing with that. So not the most inspiring situation for Russell Wilson, but then again, I wasn't expecting him to really, you know, have a ton of offers. And that makes it really interesting with Aaron Rodgers, which pretty much locks him in with probably Pittsburgh. I don't really know where else he would go. I'm trying to think. I mean, Minnesota, I've heard, is kind of out of the mix, so it's a little bit up in the air what will actually happen with that. But anyway, that's kind of a quick recap of everything that's going on. Anyway, so I will do a roster review real quick. This is one that was submitted a week or so ago. I have a little bit of a backlog, so I'm trying to run through all of these, but it'll also be good to show everyone how I do roster reviews, and if you have any additional feedback for this manager as well, that would be very, you know, feel free to chime in. And if you have any trades, I will get to them after the roster review. Just post it in the chat, and I'll make sure to get around to that. So anyway, I don't have Will here today. He's usually the stream guru, so I'm trying to figure this all out. Okay, here we go. Cool. So this is our league. It is Cheesehead Wonderman 123. So this is a little bit different roster review than typical. Typically, I will do about 20-ish minute recorded video, kind of walk through a bunch of things. This one, I'll try to do it similarly, but I won't have a lot of the intro spiel since we're doing it live. So anyway, what I'll do is I will read the form, and then we'll take a look at the war tool to understand what matters in your actual league. And then lastly, we'll jump back into your actual team, go through general how your roster stands and what we need to be doing with it. So anyway, let's jump into the form that Cheesehead submitted. So it's a half PPR, 1 QB, no tight end premium, 14 team, start 8. So this is an interesting, right? 14 team, start 8. It's still very shallow. Start 8, 1 QB. And it looks like he has 2 RBs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 2 flexes. My team is currently one of the top 3 teams in the league. I was only 2 points per game away. I guess PPG is points per game away from the top score. Okay, I just need to read ahead. Just had a bad showing in the semis. That's just how it goes sometimes. I'm happy with my team and doing nothing as I think I can win at this. I can win with this team, but I'm exploring options as well. I am looking to be proactive to ensure I stay able to compete for a championship for the longest amount of time possible. So I'm specifically looking at moves involving like Monty, AJ Brown, Jacobs, and where did this one go? And oh, okay, that's not a player. And if they would be worth moving ahead of the deadline in a few years, or should I just ride it out and compete the whole time and let them die on my team? There's an offer I have. So we have a trade right here. There's an offer I have in my inbox where I give AJ Brown, Monty, the 109, the 313 for CeeDee Lamb, Christian Kirk, the 208, and the 306. I like the idea of it, but feel it makes me very thin at RB. Without much ammo to fix any holes. I'm tempted to ride this team out to make small moves, but is it worth giving up AJ Brown, Monty, and the 109 for CD? First off, I will say no, but I can get into more of it later. Really worth having the extra 2 years of production CD will give. I'm leaning no, but let me know your thoughts. Let me make sure real quick that chat is coming through. I had to set up the chat plug-in locally, so I don't know if I see any. Just want to double check. Okay, mine is not coming through, so let's see. Okay, cool. So I have my stream pulled up now so I can see the chat on there. And I tested it out, it worked. Anyway, let's see. So 2 out of 5 activities in points 4, but third into playoffs. Team Omer Boltup is willing to give up future draft picks for the 109 if that would be advantageous. Mo Money Murdog is willing to part with Jordan Addison. In this type of format, probably don't really care about Jordan Addison. For something close to the 109, it's not a terrible price. If we like him more than who I could get with that pick, Matty Ice has the CD trade he wants to do. All I know is Payne is willing to part with Garrett Wilson, but not for cheap. Second-round picks are mostly useless. Yeah, that's probably in a shallow league. They typically are. League values youth over anything else. Ensuring I can stay competitive for a championship as long as I can. If my best play is to just chill with this team and make draft picks, I'm totally fine with that. Just want another set of eyes. So it was a 109, 302, and 313. Cool. So let me refresh where's my stream? Ninja. Okay, I'm not seeing that. This is annoying. Sorry about this. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Okay, I see some comments now. So let's see. Pitt or Minnesota or Cleveland? Okay, Cleveland's a good call out with Aaron Rodgers. Didn't think about that. And then shout outs to the wife. Would you eat the Dangerous sandwich from Subway? I would not. I would not do that. Okay. Anyway, so let's jump into the War Tool. I do think it's somewhat interesting. Typically, you'll be surprised how many like 1 QB leagues there are that I do roster reviews for. It's more common than not. But in a 14-team league, quarterbacks at least get a tiny bit of bump, especially the top end, right? You see kind of the top 3 or so guys here in the Lamars, the Joe Burrow and Josh Allens. They're going to have significant value, but the other types of quarterbacks don't really have a ton of value. So for quarterbacks, 1 QB, typically I just say fade it. Obviously, if you have like a Jalen Hurts or someone that has the rushing upside, sure, you roll with them. You're not going to pass up a top producer here. But if your league does devalue quarterbacks in 1 QB leagues, could be a decent option to scoop up one of those typically, superstar, super flex type quarterbacks. The way I typically like to look at WAR is just literally distribution. I don't try to overthink it. Literally, I just say, how do I bet in ranges based on my league format? So what this tells me, shallow league, if I can hit on decent RB producers, I'm going to get the best bang for my buck, right? And that's just kind of how running back in general, we saw a big boost. If we go, we can actually add multiple seasons so we can kind of filter out a little bit of the bias. This will just take a second. Let's see. And so this is using 3 years of WAR, we can see it's a little bit closer in terms of the range. And this chart here takes the average wide receiver 1 WAR for each season. So we can see in this type of league, half PPR, it's going to be basically running. If you can get an elite running back or wide receiver, that's going to be the best move. So typically I'm going to always be trying to consolidate. Even though it's a 14 team, always be trying to consolidate, get the best player. And I'm not going to be, and that's why I say no to a deal, kind of like the AJ Brown type of deal, where if I'm doing AJ Brown plus a significant pick, plus another player in Monty, who's going to probably be a top 15 RB when he plays, I'm giving up 2 potentially, elite players in terms of I can start them and they're doing well for 1, right? CD's not going to outscore Monty and AJ Brown most likely. So to me, it's all kind of about making bets within ranges. If I can take a guy that's in a lower tier and consolidate, that's obviously going to be the best move in this type of format. No tight end premium. Don't really need to talk about tight ends. If you have the crazy tight end years, then you're gonna enjoy it. If you don't, then you don't. Another great way of just visualizing it for me is in here. If I go, you could just filter out positions and say elite or better, right? If I end up drafting a player, elite or better, how easy is it for me to hit an elite or better player? Quarterback, it's top 5, right? If there's 5 elite or better players. Running back, I mean, look at this range. I can probably bet I can know or at least hit somebody that's within like this. It's like top 16, top something like that. And then wide receiver, right? It's a little bit more narrow. Can I hit on a top 9 wide receiver? Somewhat confident in that. Tight end, only 1 elite player in this type of league. So I'm not going to bet on tight end. I can figure I can get some cheaper production and not have to be like, I know the thread the needle and get the 1 elite guy. But generally that's kind of how I like to use it. It's kind of good gutter, like gutter rails or whatever they're called in bowling. You don't want your trades to be so lopsided. And we can do our league infused trade values as well, which these will use WAR tied with your actual fantasy market to kind of build a custom fantasy market based on your league. So this is something that is exclusive to the club members, but is another fun wrinkle to see how your league actually impacts the trade values that everyone likes to use. But anyway, let's jump into Cheesehead's roster real quick. So what we got Jalen Hurts at quarterback. I just was talking about quarterback not being the most valuable position, but having Hurts and low-key having Fields in this type of format, I'm going to do it. If I can get the high upside of those players, I'm going to want to do that. I think they're both pretty cheap, regardless of what's going on. So I don't feel too bad about that. We're going to really want to have strong positions everywhere. And without top draft capital, right? If we're looking at a 1 QB league, it's probably all going to be running back. So to me, you're probably not going to get a super valuable player at the 109. That's why that Jordan Addison deal to me has some value to it. But if we take a look at the running back room, Bijan, obviously a stud. Jacobs was a stud last year. Monty is a perfect guy to have. In just like Tracy, Hunt, Mitchell, all kind of guys that are floating around, but I do think they have a role. So I'm going to definitely be rostering those types of guys. Here we have, this is a beautiful wide receiver room, right? We got Chase, Nico Collins, AJ Brown. Part of me is like, just don't overthink it, right? Sure, could you have Nico Collins? Could you trade Nico Collins and get CeeDee Lamb somehow? Sure. Do I know if Nico Collins or CeeDee Lamb's going to finish better? I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know. And given that you have Jalen Hurts too, I'm probably not going to be trying to move AJ Brown because I'm like, okay, I can at least stack them, maybe bust open a couple weeks for me there. Ayuk, kind of fringy guy. I mean, he could be someone I look to pair with my 109, try to tier up somewhere. Players like Tutu Atwell and Deontay in such a shallow league should just be cut. Really, every extra roster spot for you should be used at the running back position. That's going to be the most valuable position for all that stuff. If we look at tight end, TJ Hawkinson, Andrews, Otten. I mean, I could sit here and say, oh, you should trade some of these guys. I don't know how much of a market there is. If I can get any sort of value for one of them, I feel comfortable rolling with the other, right? Like, you kind of have you have 3 solid tight ends. Like if I could roll with Andrews Otten and cash out on Hawkinson to use him elsewhere, that would be fine as well. I don't really care. I guess this is something too where it's like, for me, I feel like Dynasty is a game of less conviction than just redraft or other types of, fantasy sports. Because it's like, okay, cool. Like if I don't hit on Jamar Chase's crazy year where he goes crazy because instead I drafted Justin Jefferson, it's like, oh well, like I try again next year. They're still on my roster. That they still have that insulated value that I can move for basically any player I want. So I'm not gonna be like, ooh, I need to go out of my way to get a player, especially in the offseason, right? Maybe during the regular season, if you see someone crushing it, that's something you could look at. But if you really want to be good, I think this team is kind of set up. It has its centerpieces in a Bijan, in a Hurts, Chase, Nico, AJ Brown, even, right? You kind of have like pretty much all your centerpieces there. I think the best pieces you could add to a roster like this would be the cheaper guys that can get you that elite production, right? Like a Derrick Henry, a Devontae Adams potentially. Players like that people don't value super highly, but still squeeze into like that top 12 range, right? Players like a Josh Jacobs or a Monty when he was playing. These are players that, to me, I'm like, okay, they're low investment, low risk. I don't need to pay up too much, and I can just slide them in. And I still have my centerpieces in the Bijans and the Chase and the Nico. Those are the types of players, to me, I want to kind of roll with going into the offseason. Well, not the offseason, but even the regular season, right? Like, I already got some elite assets. I don't really need to overpay for like a CD Lamb. If you can take like an Ayuk plus, a Hawkinson and invest in running back wide receiver, I would. Because as we said, this league is literally, can I get the best running back? Can I get the best wide receiver? Quarterback, tight end, doesn't really matter. So if I can get value and count something for those positions, I would. And let's just touch on the, let's see. I want to just look at the mock draft real quick. Just to show what I'm not in many 1QB leagues at this point. So I just kind of want to see how a 1 quarterback draft looks like, where you're at with the 109. Right now it has you taking Tyler Warren. Probably don't want to do that in a 1. I don't know. In a 1, like no tight end premium. Honestly, I do think the Addison deal isn't terrible, but I would probably be trying to aim a little higher in that type of deal. Like, can I take that 109 plus a tight end or something and get a running back that might not have as much shine as some of these rookies, but it gives me a little bit more value. So let me take a quick look at some of that stuff. Let's see. Now I'll need to pop into the chat after this to make sure I answer any trade questions, which keep them coming. And then I need to see if I can figure out how to get the little text things to show up on my stream. But anyway, here's kind of the running back standings. And I think if you look at the 109, which let's see, where's like a late first at? Did it even add it? I don't know if it did. We are experimenting right now. Is there a first? I'm not seeing first. Maybe it's a league infused issue. Here we go. We're bug testing live right here. Okay. So I guess there's an issue with the league infused. But yeah, we got late first here about Quinshon Judkins' range, which honestly that's a pretty solid deal. I mean, honestly, like if I'm in your situation, I just want upside. I already have the studs. Honestly, like is a Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, are those types of players available? Could I trade that 109 in a 1QB for Kamara and pick up a little bit else, right? Could I get some value for Justin Fields or a Mark Andrews or something and be like, oh, like here's the 109 and Mark Andrews, can I get Kamara and a 27 second or something? Like pick up a little bit, move around a little bit, try to get some additional value. That's kind of how I'd try to approach it. I'm not really trying to make a big splash because I think you kind of already have the big splash players that you would need. Obviously, if like a Puka or someone else is available for relatively cheap, I would do it, but I don't think I would be trying to give up too much value because in a shallow league, it just comes down to who you're starting, right? Like, I mean, if you add like CD Lamb to this roster, it's not like you can start him. So to me, I'm like, okay, let me load up a little bit on running back, get a couple extra of those elite upside body guys in there. I feel a little bit more confident in that type of roster. But let me see. I will switch to just my face real quick as I try to boot up the chat. We can see if anyone has some comments. Let's see, what was that application called? I had to set this all up today, so bear with me. Social stream. Is it social stream? Okay, there we go. Yeah, I guess I don't know why I didn't select it. Okay, here we go. Activate. Is that working? Okay, cool. Okay, I have stuff here. It's not the fancy one, I guess. Sorry about this. Let's see. It's doc custom. Yeah, this is good radio right now. Okay. Is this the stream chat bot? Here we go. I spent all this time to try to get it to show up on the thing, and I don't know if it is going to. Well, you live and you learn, right? Oh my God. Why is this not working? It says click copy, and then I copy it, and then it doesn't work. Okay, here we go. Apply. Okay, I don't know if I can get the old messages. How do I do that? Okay, anyway, I'll just pull up the big chat. We're going to ugly mode. Okay, can I zoom this in? Okay, so we talked about some of these up here. This is kind of about the free agency moves, which Pitt, Minnesota, Cleveland for Aaron Rodgers potentially. Let's see. Eskimo 24 just won a championship. Recently made a trade to get rid of Metcalf, James Conner, I assume. Hubbard, the 110 for Brian Thomas Jr. Sanat in a second. Okay, got to replace running back depth. I mean, I'm not a big believer in Sanat. I don't know what your format technically is, but I do like getting a Brian Thomas Jr. In a second, so I'm not going to complain about that. Do I now move Daniel Jones in a second for Kamara? Yeah, I mean, I would do this, especially after you just gutted your running back room. If I can pick up a Kamara, that's something I'm going to definitely be trying to do. We got to... so, yeah, I would definitely take that. I mean, backup quarterback in the second for a guy that's probably going to be, in for another significant workload. So, to me, that's an easy type of trade. Let's see. Dynasty Superflex got offered CD in a 25-second 206 for Puka and Waddle. Already have, you take Puka and you take Waddle because Puka and CD are basically the same, and you trade a second for Waddle. Already have JJ, Marvin Harrison Jr., Christian Kirk, Hollywood, Pittman. So you own Puka now. Yeah, that's right, Sean. That's a guaranteed pick. I like the Brian Thomas Jr. Too many questions around DK. I would like to add DK or Connor to 110 as a offer to move up. And Kellen Scott, thanks for coming back. 102 in the 27-second for Garrett Wilson in the first. What side are you on? I'm rebuilding. If you're rebuilding, I'll probably take... This is one where I think the process tells you take Garrett Wilson in the first. Straight up, I do think that's a better side. The one question would be, if this is like a random league with a bunch of people that you met on Reddit and it might fold or something, that would be my only hesitation. But I do think the Garrett Wilson in the first side is the one I would take. I agree with Sean here. Definitely that side. I don't know why. We're having a lot of technical difficulties. We need Will to come back. Hater Maker, pretty difficult to project the 27 first. Would keep the 102. That's interesting. Okay, we got the stream thing showing up again. So once I get past that, we can get back to the normal setup. Let's see. Brian Thomas Jr. side by $1 million. I would choose the other side because Garrett Wilson has some value insulation, and adding a first in a class that people already seem excited for is solid. Yeah, I kind of agree with Sean here, just because to me, I'm like, okay, what is the 102 like if you get an elite, let's say best case scenario. I know I was hyping up Hampton last stream. Best case scenario, Hampton rocks. Everything's awesome. You have a second in 27. You're on a rebuilding team. It's kind of like those teams that got Bijan on a rebuilding team, and it was just kind of like, okay, cool. Like, you got the Lamborghini in the trailer park. We kind of need to have some more shots on goal. Garrett Wilson's still young. Garrett Wilson's still someone that has a bunch of value that people like. So you can, again, take Garrett Wilson and get another pick or something like, or, trade for something else. And then you also get that first, which who knows what that first will be. That's something I would definitely be trying to do. Let's see. I think I'm caught up. So let me, boom, back in. Okay. Here we go. There we go. We're good. We're good. Who says I can't do this? Okay. Hater Maker. I like Wilson, but the 102 is a nice piece. A 27 late first. Okay. I mean, I think you did just say it's hard to project out 27. So I'm not going to say it's a 27 late first ain't enough. It would need to be at least a mid first, in my opinion. I will say there's very few leagues where I look at it and I'm like, this is probably a team that has a late first, right? I don't really see a late 27 first as something I can project right now. So much can happen. And Sean agrees. Let's see. Also, Jeremy, last week I asked about trading up from, let me move this over here so I'm actually looking into the camera. So some behind the scenes. Let's see. Okay. Also, Jeremy, last week I asked about trading up from the 103 to the 102 and what you would add to the 103. I was able to trade the 103 with my 201 and a third for the 102 in Daniel Jones. Hey, I mean, I honestly think that's a pretty solid deal because Hampton, you're locked into Hampton. You have the flexibility until your draft. So two, if like, okay, someone else comes around, really, really falls in love with Hampton, you have the flexibility there. On top of that, you pick up a backup quarterback for basically a third or so. I don't hate that deal. If you're going to move up and get a guy, that's the tier I want to do it. Let's see. That's the question mark, predicting 2 years out. I agree with that. Okay, so the format for that first one was a 14 by 12 Superflex tight end premium. Okay, then I guess it makes sense. In a league that deep, I think it honestly, it makes it probably more fair in my opinion. Because like you're giving up 1, 2, 3 starters and the 110, which is probably a starter in this type of league, for one starter. Essentially, we don't know about Sanat, so honestly, yeah. I mean, I think if you play the value game, I would take Brian Thomas Jr. side, but if my roster is depleted, I'm going to be looking to try to honestly take the other side. I did that in a few leagues where I'm like, just give me crap. Give me like those low-end crap guys I don't want. Let's see. Yeah, I can do more with Garrett Wilson the first. Appreciate you. Appreciate Sean. There's a saying. I don't really know what it means, but slate it down, house, boots, Houston, I'm deceased. Thank you, Becca. Okay, here we go. We got another trade. It's a Hertz, Freiermuth, 309 and 408. Man, that juicy 408 for Kyler McBride in the 206. Oh man, I do think Hertz is very underrated. Let's see what we got here. 12 by 10 Superflex PPR, no tight end premium. No tight end premium, 12 by 10. Honestly, I don't hate the Kyler side here. And I'll say because Freiermuth isn't someone that you're like, lock in, I have a difference maker. But McBride, even in no tight end premium, could put up those broken numbers that we saw like on the war chart during the roster review. So to me, I think I'll probably just take the quarterback, McBride, and the second. I'm getting a better pick, not even though it's not a crazy pick. Gives me some extra flexibility there. But again, I do think it kind of depends on your roster in that, like, you know, I think if you kind of have like your quarterback situation already figured out, I wouldn't be the most excited to do something like that. But yeah, it looks like I caught all the way up on our trades or on the chat. Let's see. Yeah, I have Hurts, and this is what I'm trying to do in the tier on. Yeah, I do think that's a good value though. Like you're essentially tiering up significantly at tight end, and moving down from what Hurts was, I think, quarterback 6 last year or something, and then you're picking up. I don't even know what like scoring wise. Let's see. I can pull that up real quick. We can see on. I guess this is going to be in this league's format, but using the league format tool, this is over 3 years, which I do not need that much data. But I don't even know where. I think like Hurts was like 6 and Kyler was like 12. Right? Like here's Hurts down here, which is what, 7? Close, pretty close. 23 points per game, at least in this league. So you're giving up about 4 points per game, if you look at it that way, at quarterback. But I'm sure the tight end gap is massive, right? This is about 12 points, and then Freiermuth is 7. So I guess it's honestly close to the same. You're gaining about 4 or 5 points at tight end, shuffling around your points, but in general, it's a pretty fair deal. Let's see. Hurts, Herbert, Monty, Jacobs, Brown, Chase, CD. Dang. You got some good wide receivers. Chase, CD, Ladd, Cup, Ridley, Adams. I do love, like, this is kind of a side tangent, but I do love having like a Cup, right? When you have all those young guys that are like, ooh, these are dynasty darlings, and then you just throw in an old guy at the end that kind of rounds out the bench. But Hurts, yeah, with Hurts and Herbert, I don't feel bad. Like, okay, if Kyler falls off a cliff, I still have Herbert. I'm not like in desperation mode, scrapping for my life. So yeah, I think that's an amazing tier down, especially with no solid tight end answer. You basically address tight end. You don't have to worry about it forever. Yeah, and you're getting a good draft pick. Probably going to be able to get a solid running back. That's what I probably wouldn't just pencil in. But again, you kind of have to see how the draft board falls to you. But yeah, no, I do think that's good. It's a good deal. I can show off as we get some more trades going on. I did recently add a new club feature. So all the club members watching, I now have a player watch list. So if you go to your player pages, right? Like if I'm like, ooh, I love me some Puka Nacua. If you have a club account and you're logged in, we had all these new account features. But if you logged into your account, you can click this, add your player to the watch list. Now it will show up on your sidebar. So now if you have certain players you want to track, see how they're doing, kind of quick links to certain players, you can do that. So it's not the most earth-shattering feature, but again, another nice to have, continuing to add to the site over the 3 years I've been working on it. And again, that is for club members, and 2, I do have a new free tier as well. So if you aren't a part of the Patreon, you can still log in to an account, link all of your leagues, and have it kind of auto log in, manage all that stuff. I want to be able to do a lot of cool features as well, such as like portfolio, like being able to cache portfolios and kind of manage things like that. So a lot coming with that. But yeah, let me see. We can pull up the Discord. Always got to have a fallback, right? But we'll pull up the Discord. Appreciate it, Sean. Yes, I it's just little things like that, but eventually they compound into adding, making a more robust site. Okay, yes, I can go over the accounts feature as well. So the accounts have been something that's in the work for a while. So in general, I had my old accounts, right? My old accounts were all behind Patreon. You had to be a Patreon member to have an account, and they gave you all these additional features. Now, the new accounts pretty much offer a lot of those features or not a lot, but they offer some features to everyone for free. A big reasons behind that is because right now I don't really have a way to link anything or save memory from a user, right? So for example, I can't save what leagues you have. You have to re-log in every time, things like that. This will allow me to actually be able to make it easier to log in to where you can just refresh the page or open it up on a different device. It's like, oh, you're back. I'll just log you in again, things like that. So that's something that I really wanted to add just to make it easier to use. You'll also see that there's this, if you have a normal account, you'll just have account. If you have a club, you have this. And we have our league tab. This is similar to the other one that we had. You can log in here, manage all your leagues, delete them, all of that. This is kind of a way to manage and delete all your old leagues. And here we have badges. So these are like, I'm going to add little achievements like, hey, you joined during my 3rd year. And then these are some, if you click these will update the little icon in the corner. Nothing earth shattering, but little touches. Account settings here. This is where you can link your Patreon, delete your link if you changing accounts or whatever reason, and you kind of add in different things and get like a verified check mark and add descriptions if you're writing articles, things like that. And then we also have this new watch list feature as well. So that's kind of where it's at right now. I guess a big one too is you can sync all your leagues that I showed, and then everywhere on the site uses all the leagues that you sync. So it makes it easy, especially if you play on different platforms. You can log in and manage it all that way. But yeah, let's see. But yeah, let me pull up the Discord. I can jump into a few of those trade polls. And I appreciate everyone joining. I know sometimes it's a little bit past some people's bedtime or a little bit, during dinner time if you're on the West Coast. But yeah, I do want to get into a habit of doing this more consistently, and also just making this a place of, I have some trade questions, and you can come in and kind of poke around and kind of discuss it. But let's jump into. I think I have stream. I do have stream mode enabled, but let me pull this up. Let's see if I can full screen. Can I full screen this? Nope. Okay. Does not want to cooperate with me. We'll make it bigger here. Okay, so this is an interesting one, right? Shout out to Stomp. We got a 12-team PPR, Superflex, start 11. Reed in the 108 for Bucky Irving. Honestly, I assume this is Jaden Reed. I think I said his name right. I'm going to take a Bucky. Some people are way too high on Bucky, straight up. Like, some people just think he's, like Bijan Robinson. I'm not that person. But I do think 108, Reed, I don't know. I mean, the issue with me is I feel like Reed is kind of like got like the cheese touch from like Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Like, no one wants to hold him right now, just based on like how he was looking. But the 108 isn't a terrible pick. I don't know. I mean, I think it's somewhat fair, but I probably just take Bucky, unless if I'm really like depleted on talent. Actually, I think I talked myself into it. I'd probably take a Reed in the 108. It's a start 11, a little bit deeper. Reed is probably someone I can flex if I have to, and I get the 108, which is probably going to be a running back. I don't know. It's a fair deal though. Definitely gets me thinking. There we go. I talked myself out of it. Right. Let's see. Let's see where the next one is. We have 12-team Superflex, start 10, PPR, 0.5 tight end premium, so I don't really care about tight ends. Not that it really matters here. 105, 20, or 26 second, a fourth for Javonte, 109, Jacobs, Juwan Jennings. Start 10. I would definitely say if I have a shallower team, or not shallower, but if I have a team that needs some more depth, this is an amazing deal. Locking in Josh Jacobs, who finished as a top 12 wide receiver, and locking in, you move back 4 spots in the draft and you pick up 2 starters. And like, sure, Juwan Jennings is kind of a step down. Well, I was thinking Jamison Williams. Nope. Probably an upgrade from Javonte Williams. Yeah, this is a great cash out, in my opinion. Lock up guys, because, I mean, realistically, you're not getting this midseason. Let's see. Real Daddy RY joined. He's new here. Let's all say hi. Yo, I got the 201 and the 204 in my 12-man league. Who should I take in the draft? Okay, definitely need a QB. Okay, this is rough. It's kind of hard to just mindlessly, or not mindlessly, but project what's going to happen in the draft in the second, per se. But I would probably say, let me see, I can pull up the Dynasty Daddy tool real quick. I'll pull up a mock draft. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. Right, I mean, if you're in the early second round, currently Jackson Dart, you're probably kind of looking at. But realistically, what I'd probably do is I would say, let me take one of those and like just buy a Geno or someone gross and just say, okay, I have Geno and Darnold, and it's at least two guys that are probably going to be top 20, right? And then you can just say, okay, cool, if Dart falls here, I can take him, or I can take best player available, take a Caleb Johnson, take a Colson Loveland, or whoever you want. That's probably the best move I would do, is try to move one of those picks and get one of those less sexy options, but a guy that you can kind of rely on. And like, let's see what range that would look at. I don't want a Jalen Milroe, but like, yeah, like a Stafford, Geno, not an Anthony Richardson probably, since I don't have like a Tua. If I can get someone like that using those picks, I would probably prefer to do that, just because I'm so desperate for a quarterback. And Jackson Dart, especially if he gets second round draft capital, isn't guaranteed to be a starter, and I'm going to need someone to put into that spot. Let's see, we got another trade question from Sean. A 12 by 11 Superflex PPR, 0.15 point per carry. So that's something to note. 0.5 tight end premium, so I don't care too much about tight end. Ooh, okay. So you're going to throw a tight end question at me. Okay, DK, Jordan Mason for Laporta. Oh, man. I'd probably lean Laporta, because I do think Laporta does have a difference-making upside. And with that 0.5 tight end premiums, probably a little bit of a bump. I'm not super high on it, but again, I to me, DK Metcalf and Jordan Mason aren't players that I'm the most excited to invest in. And I did just actually record a video today talking about Jordan Mason, so that will be out sometime next week. But Jordan Mason was one of the topics of kind of like, and I can honestly bring up a little, where is it at here? I need to add Jordan Mason. But something that I thought was interesting, right? KeepTradeCut, people like to dog on it. It does react to the market pretty well, in my opinion. And the fact that Jordan Mason is a backup and signed for backup money in Minnesota, and just because it's Minnesota is now like, oh, like now there's some interest for him. I think he's one of the most traded players in our trade database. To me, it's a great time to cash out on Jordan Mason and honestly DK Metcalf. So given the tight end premium, I'll probably consolidate there and open up a roster spot. You can probably pick up someone post-draft, and that's basically Jordan Mason in terms of excitement. Because it's kind of crazy how many people are interested in Jordan Mason after a move like that. I thought he was on here, but let's see. Where's Jordan Mason? So, yeah, he's at like 90-day high in value, which is crazy. But, yeah, his contract hasn't been released yet. But yeah, I mean, to me, he's just any backup, right? He just kind of has like a little bit more of a luster to him that if I can get any sort of value for, I would. And again, I'm not super confident that DK with probably Aaron Rodgers is a super exciting option. So yeah, I would probably lean Laporta and tight end premium. I assume if you're doing that deal, you also don't have a tight end. You know, like to me, I don't have a tight end. Let me just lock up a guy that I can run with long term. And Real Daddy RY, definitely look to move one of these picks. At least just pick up an old dude so you don't have to sweat it. So you at least have two guys. Let's see what else we have here. I'm not gonna deal. That's too many. I need a player. Can't just be random picks. Let's see. Do I dare go into the 1QB chat? Okay, we got 1QB. So Gene T, most likely. I mean, like, let's be honest. Gene T. Oh, you said Otten. Otten is your current. Yeah, I mean, I honestly assume you probably have some better wide receivers in DK and you're not really relying on them. I'd probably take the Laporta side and just know, too, Laporta had a slow start, heated up towards the end. If he comes out hot this year, he's going to instantly be, like everyone's going to be treating him like a Bowers and a McBride. If I can get one of those guys, I'm going to lock it up. I appreciate the question, Sean. But let's see. 1 QB, 101, Coleman for Hurts and Brees. Okay, this is interesting. Oh, man. Okay, it's a start 8 PPR 1 quarterback. I don't know how many teams. Given that super shallow, I'm probably just going to take the Brees side, to be honest. Because, like, I don't think, even in a shallow league like this, Coleman's not going to be someone exciting. Brees and Ginty probably going to score near each other. Might be blasphemous to say. I know this is a Brees Hall stream, so maybe we hype him up too much. And then I get Hurts, who has that. He's one of the few guys in a shallow 1 QB league that actually has the upside of might run for 4 touchdowns. So give me that. Let's see. Your quarterbacks are CD, AJ Brown, Reek, Judy, Mooney are your other guys. Yeah. I mean, I assume, let's see. Mooney's always, like, the guys that get into those Mooney tiers always kind of scare me a little bit. Because, like, for me, it's like they had a good year, but I'm like, are they going to be consistently like that kind of wide receiver 2 type seasons? But I do think, yeah, I mean, I probably do that with, I mean, Judy kind of falls in the same bucket, right? Judy, Mooney, kind of situational on if they're going to be good. But I also think you have plenty of time to make other moves as well to kind of answer that. Like, I don't think DK's a huge answer anyway. Picking up maybe like an old Stephon Diggs or something just to give depth would be something I'd look at. Because you do have good topping guys in CD and AJ Brown and even Reek. Reek is kind of underrated at this point. I also agree. I do think the Hurts side in that 1 QB trade is the way to go. Just because quarterback, I don't think Hurts is the biggest difference maker in this format most likely, but still, you're getting 2 guys who can start. To me, Coleman is like, you need a league that's not a start 8 for Coleman to matter. Unless if it's like a 24-team league. I need like an easy poll. Let's see, 109 pick for Chase Brown. I said Chase Brown. It's been a little quiet. In some of these chats. I know they heat up, but I guess everyone's in March Madness, right? Everyone's watching March Madness right now. No one's talking fantasy trades. Thoughts on this deal? Well, I guess I've only looked at the past day anyway. Okay, this is interesting. Do we have a format? Oh, I love the mega snapshot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, start 10. 2 quarterbacks start 10. Pretty much all I can say about this league. Okay, so you receive Adonai Mitchell. Why is he in there? I'd much rather just have a pick. But Justin Jefferson. For a first, JSN Chase Brown in a 205. This is a good deal. I do think it's a start 10. If I look at this roster, what's it got? McCarthy, Barkley. Yeah, I mean, I'm taking the Jefferson side. To me, this is like a perfect consolidation type move, right? Where I'm just trying to get value for Chase Brown on my bench that might get displaced in the draft. I'm just trying to tier up from a JSN that's getting steamed up a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I'd probably just take the Justin Jefferson side. Adonai Mitchell, I'd probably prefer to keep like a third or something, or a second and not give up Adonai Mitchell in the deal. But again, JJ's one of literally like the premium stock in all of Dynasty for the past 5 years. So give me that easily. Let's see. And you also have the 109, the 110. Yeah, I mean, that's perfect. Because especially in that range, you're looking at Superflex League, you're probably going to end up with a Burden. You're going to end up with those guys. And we can even pull up the mock draft board. I always like to reference this in the offseason so I can just visually understand what I'm looking at. But yeah, 109, 110, you're kind of looking. I imagine Sanders will probably get steamed up a little. But you're going to still have some decent wide receivers on the board at that range. So, yeah, I think that's a solid move. Yeah, and you would want JJ as well. Let's see. March Madness brackets. They're doing all right. Not as good as yours. I will say I've been listening. I always do a thing where it's like football. And then like once football's over, it's like, okay, college basketball, right? Like you get into college basketball. So I've been listening to a bunch of podcasts, studying up. I was like, okay, I'm going to try to win the family bracket this year. And then Becca, I have to annoy her to fill out the bracket. I'm like, make sure to fill out your bracket. She fills it out the night before with no research. And her bracket is wiping the floor with everyone. So yes, it's I did pick Wisconsin to the Elite Eight. That's the one that's keeping me up right now. But so far it's been pretty chalk. So let's see. That's a bunch of stuff in the first. Let's see. Which deal am I looking at? The is the 106 too much to ask for? What's the context here? Was that a previous trade? I didn't realize like Buka has been hyped up this much. Is he the wide receiver 2 now? I thought Matthew Golden was the wide receiver 2. Your Wildcats. I will say. I'm cheering for y'all. Even though I technically have Duke winning it all but I am excited because Will Wade had his press conference for NC State as a NC State alum. Yes, I mean that's exciting. He was like, "We're gonna make the tournament." And I shed a tear. I was like, I really hope you're right. I really hope that's true. Okay, yeah. Here's the trade. Yeah. So the 109 and the 110 for the 106. Honestly, this is where I look at. I know I just zoomed out, but moving. Let's look at the tiers. I mean, honestly, I'm probably gonna stay put. I know it might be team dependent. Like if there's a player I really need, but I think 2 players within the 1.9, 110 range, I might rather have. Because I guess too, it depends on your league, right? Like if it's super shallow, just give me the highest pick possible. But I've been in I had some leagues that were like start 11 last year, and I just had so many late picks, and I just ended up with Brian Thomas Jr. and Worthy and all these random players, and I was like, wow, this is amazing payoff. So some of these players are going to be, you kind of need to take the value per se. Because I don't think, unless if you're, so needy at running back. That would be the only reason I would do that is if I'm I have to get a running back. And even then I'd be like, maybe I can just take the 110 and get, a Josh Jacobs or Alvin Kamara or someone like that. Versus trying to trade up and end up with just one running back. Pick up an old running back and then take a dart throw on Sanders or Warren or Travis Hunter or whoever you want. That's probably what I would recommend there. But yeah, I had no idea how high. Let's see how everything's looking on ADP Daddy. I didn't realize Igbuka was so high. To me, this is kind of how I see the draft more. KeepTradeCut doesn't align with my draft currently. I do think Cam Ward is up here, realistically. But in terms of wide receiver order, it's McMillan, Burden, Igbuka, that's kind of where I'm currently at. Yeah, anytime. Thank you for asking your question. I'm always like, I want to be more active in the Discord, but there's always so much going on. So this is also like a place where I'm like, cool, like, it's little office hours, I want to be able to engage and answer any questions that come in and things like that. So, yeah, definitely always feel free to ask questions and things like that. But yeah, this is kind of how I see the draft more in the order, not necessarily like the positional order, let me say. Not exactly. Like, I do think Cam Ward should be higher. I think Tyler Warren would probably be lower a little, unless if it's a high tight end premium league. Caleb Johnson's probably a little high, but I do think he's probably RB5. And then there's probably a bigger gap. Ollie Gordon hype, I just don't get. Like, the mock drafts I'm seeing have him so far down the board. And then all the fantasy people are like, oh, like, well, he's a Devi darling, so he has to be good. So I'm curious to see what happens with him. But yeah, it's up like Harold Fanning. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait for the draft. Just kind of figure out what's going on with all of this stuff. So LeQuint Allen. Is this guy a running back? It is a running back. Okay. I have like email errors. And for some reason, his name always sends me an email like, hey, we're not able to map this. Okay, we got another. Let's see. What pick are you paying for Laporta straight up in a 12 by 10 0.75 tight end? Okay, now tight end definitely matters. Coming out of rebuild and plenty of picks. I do think it's kind of hard to say this. Let me go back because I think I'd probably pick like the 108, like the 107 or the 108. To me, it would be like Tyler Warren. Like, I don't necessarily know if I like Tyler Warren over a Laporta, but right, like I do think they're like positionally like right next to each other. So and it's kind of nice to know that, hey, I do have like Tyler Warren in the back pocket. Right, so you can kind of say, "Hey, take this draft pick for Laporta," or the consolation prize is the tight end 4. So you kind of have the leverage there. But I do think probably 107 is probably as high as it'll go. I do get a little concerned about Laporta, but in that tight end premium, I do tight end premium is going to probably get bumped up even more. Right, I do think probably around the 106 though. Because the thing, too, is like Tyler Warren is still there. And you also have Loveland, who might get first-round draft capital. So there's still a lot of options out there. And outside the, top? We got Gene T, Hampton, Tet, Cam. I could realistically see the 105 being as high as I go. Because I do think that's kind of the teardrop is that 105. Yeah, if you have your picks, that'd be helpful. Give me a little bit more context. But yeah, I think the highest I would ever go in like a 0.75 tight end premium would be the 105, just because a Travion Henderson's we're probably looking at RB2-ish upside, whereas any of these guys up here should have much more leeway. And still, I do think Sanders will shoot up the board, especially if it gets top 10. No, I agree. I think if I'm desperate, like that's the thing. I'm like, because it's like, okay, I do think Laporta is better than Warren by a little bit, but I do think Laporta is better than Warren. And if Warren is going at the 108, then I'm like, well, like I technically, in theory, think Laporta is better than Warren as a dynasty player or dynasty asset right now. So it's kind of like, yeah, I have to do that. But I definitely wouldn't be trying to do the 105. I'd be like, oh, can I take the 111 and in a second or something, like piece together something. It kind of depends. Like you can kind of poo-poo on Laporta a little bit of like, oh, well, he underperformed. He was just a 1-year rookie wonder type thing. But I do think I would rather have a Laporta than Warren Two, because we don't know where Warren's going to go. He could go into his most mocked landing spot is Indianapolis, which is like, okay, do you want Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson thrown to him? Probably not. I'd much rather have Jared Goff. So the stability of that situation is a lot higher than a rookie without a landing spot. Okay, your picks are above. Let me make sure I find this. Not that one. Where's that one? It might not be in my recent feed. Let me see. Was it up in the beginning? I must be missing it. But yeah, that's kind of where I would land. Is like, can I take a late first, like the 111 and like a 206, and does that get it done? Because it's not a bad value. I don't want to give it a high end shot. Because like there's a realistic chance by the time we get to the draft, the top 4 becomes the top 5. You know, like I want a little bit of a buffer. And something too I talked about is like in last week's stream, it's like the amount of league, like every league I had a top 2 pick last year, I traded back because I'm like, what's the chance that Caleb Williams and Daniels are similar? What's the chance that Neighbors and like if I can pick up a decent amount of value to move back a spot, I want to. So we might be here and say, oh, well, there's a hard line between Hampton and McMillan and Henderson, but yeah, wait till week 8. And then we're like, actually, Travion Henderson's the best running back of them all. Something like that could be realistic. But yeah, okay. Oop, I put another one up there. Cool. Well, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Will should be back next week, so we'll have more banter and a little bit better production quality. Oh, we got one last little one in here. I'll get to that real quick. What sort of packages are fair value to move up to an early second round in a 10-team start 8-1 QB? You have the 208, Tracy, Ford, Dobbins, Pollard, Judy, Waddle on the trade block. My second QB is T-Law. It's 1 QB, so I don't really care about your second quarterback. Can you trade T-Law? Like, if I can trade T-Law and just get like the 110, I would. Because you have Lamar, right? So I don't need to have value at quarterback, to be honest. But I mean, there's a lot of players here. I probably, in this type of format, really all that matters is just getting locked in superstar players and then depth at running back. So like, I would probably trade a Judy. I don't think Judy's probably a super impactful player. Can I trade a Judy for an early second round pick and at least take a dart throw at something? Yeah, I think 208, 16th pick, which isn't terrible. And I can throw up the draft board in one quarterback again. How do I set that? How do I use my website, right? Rookies, 1 quarterback. Let me throw that up here. Oh, actually, what? It's rookies and 8 team. Right, so if we're looking at 8 team, early second, yeah, I mean, I would definitely be, a Trevor Lawrence, a Judy. I'd probably try to hang on to Waddle. Waddle, Pollard, Dobbins, Ford, Tracy. I like to have all those like gross running backs. Any concern about Lamar getting older? Not really. I mean, he's put up basically 3 like back-to-back MVP seasons, most likely. I mean, potentially. I mean, like, it's a coin flip if he should have won last year. So, I'm not too concerned about him. He's one of the best run organizations in the league. So, to me, yeah, he's only 28, like Sean said, and also on top of that, it's 1 quarterback. So, like, quarterbacks are plug and play. Like, can I get an elite quarterback? Awesome. If I can't, oh well, who cares? If once Lamar ages out, oh well, like you can easily go pick up a Jared Goff type and not have to stress about anything. I think I could send T-Law to the 203 owner. He only has Caleb. Yeah, I mean, I would do that. And you mentioned 10 team, right? Something you'll also see about 10 team is like if you just do the math, 10 team, 1 QB, you only start 10 quarterbacks a week. So quarterbacks are so like devalued in that type of market. If I can get any value, like the KeepTradeCut value in 1 quarterback for Trevor Lawrence is low, but it's going to be even lower in a 10 team league, right? Like you're looking at, right? Like, I mean, it should not be anywhere near a fair trade. This is where you someone to those trade calculators and say, oh, like, hey, like on Dynasty Daddy, it's fair. But like in reality, it's not fair because, you know, this quarterbacks in this range don't usually matter in that type of format. But yeah, I mean, I do think I would just literally start at like the 108 and just like move down. I think that's a great deal because you're never going to start Trevor Lawrence. Cool. Well, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I'm going to be signing off for the night. Try to keep this one an hour. Next week we'll be back, so definitely tune in, and we'll have to get all the chat going. Will also be back as well. Anytime, Julio, is that how you say it? Anytime. Thank you for stopping by, supporting the channel, all of that. But next week we should be back. We'll have both me and Will. So definitely come back, and we'll have more going on. And I appreciate you sticking with the solo stream. You know, it's talking into the void sometimes, but I appreciate y'all making it fun. And until next week, peace. I will say, I do have a video that I'll be releasing tomorrow on the channel as well. And it'll be a Dynasty mock draft. So stay tuned for that. And then, obviously, a bunch of stuff coming on the site as well. So thank you. Well, Mista, you can run it back and run it in 2 times. But I appreciate you stopping by right at the end. Thank you. I'll put y'all on here. I'm just happy I got the little icons to show up. But anyway, peace out. I'll see y'all live Tuesday night next week, and I'll be dropping a video tomorrow as well. So, see ya.